Live at lunchtime, Tembekile Mkhototo in for Jeremy Maggs. Public servants have joined women and activists who've gathered these past few weeks to say enough is enough and protest against the abuse and killing of women. They've taken to the streets of Pretoria today, marching from Church Square to the Union buildings to make their voices heard. Their march comes after a spate of femicide cases that have brought focus to the fear and brutality faced by many women daily in this country. Lindo Kuhle Xulu has been our reporter on that story. Lindo Kuhle, as you would have seen there, with me now in studio to talk more about this. And Minister Senzo Mchunu Lindo Kuhle emphasizing the President's earlier message that the SAPS, the police service in particular, will be strengthened to better deal with these cases.
Well, very much so, Tembekile. What they have been saying throughout the day, a recurring message saying enough is enough, and saying that they are joining this fight, heeding the call of the President, of course, saying that all sectors in society must join in to fight against gender-based violence, the scourge of femicide, as well as violence against women and children. But the Minister, they're saying that one thing that is important, of course, is the law enforcement agencies that should be strengthened to ensure that they are able to deal with such cases. And perhaps if you can take a listen to that bite where he explains how they are trying to strengthen these law enforcement agencies.
The President has addressed the joint sitting of the two houses in the National Assembly. And he said clearly that one, we've got to take steps and strengthen the units in SAPS, that is South African Police Services, that are directly and specifically tasked to deal with cases of sexual harassment and violence against women and any other related matter. We are saying as public service today, some of these things go through our hands because some of us in public service are in the Department of Justice itself. Some of us are in the prosecution. Some of us sit there as presiding officers. And therefore we're saying, let's join hands and make sure that what the President has said, this time in relation to SAPS alone.
Minister for Women in the Presidency, Maiteng Mashabane, also making an appearance today. What did she say?
Well, she did speak about the fact that she requires that there be swift response to these things. They're saying they want prompt response when it comes to women reporting such incidents. And of course, that has been one thing that's been in question, to say what is the response from our law enforcement agencies. And she spoke a lot about the fact that she wants it to be a speedy thing where women are not only heard, but also that there is swift response against the perpetrators who in this case are reported. Even mentioning that one of the things that make women withdraw such cases is the fact that there isn't any response that favors them when they are victimized in this regard. So if you can take a listen to her as well, just explaining what exactly they require from these law enforcement agencies.
Allegations of and complaints of sexual harassment should be responded to promptly and be dealt with seriously, sensitively, and confidentially. Justice delayed is justice denied.
So, Lindo Kuhle, we're looking today at a march led by the government, the very government that a lot of people will say has failed to protect women and children in this country. Were the people on the streets of Pretoria supportive at all of this march today?
Well, the only people that were marching, in fact, it's unlike something we usually see when people march, others join in. But this time around, it was just a group of public servants. There were no people that were joining from the streets trying to hear what is happening, even with the placards that are there that are written, no violence against women and children. But there hasn't been any people that we saw that were joining in this particular protest. But more so, something that was, that left a lot to be desired was the fact that when we got to the Union buildings, the leaders, the ministers, and all of the people who took the podium to speak were not really speaking on what is it exactly that needs to happen, except for the fact that the law enforcement agencies must be strengthened. But you would expect, first and foremost, the fact that Uyinene Mrwetyana had passed on at a post office, that there would be an apology on behalf of the minister to say that as a public servant, a minister, I am here here to apologize to the fact that it happened at our rally. And speaking about law enforcement agencies, again, it leaves the fact that what happens at post offices, what happens at other facilities, what is the plan there to ensure that such things don't happen? But we did question the minister also on the fact that what is it exactly that needs to happen, particularly because there's been this loophole that has led to a death. There's a person who had a criminal record, was admitted, and at the end of the day, he wasn't. They weren't able to pick him up that he has a criminal record, and hence the death of Uyinene Mrwetyana. But what the minister was saying there is that they are waiting for the results of that inquiry as to how exactly that particular individual slipped through the loophole to find himself in that position. And after that, they then say they will be trying to act, which might be too late, considering that there has all this time has passed and nothing has happened in terms of maybe an audit to say all of the public servants must now go back and give their fingerprints and be checked. But the minister says they have to wait now for that audit to understand what happened then before they can act towards anything else.
So the South African government then marching on itself for a time. Lindo Kuhle Xolo, thank you so much.